It's time to open the case files of the radio detective, Jerry Pearce, a veteran cop, an old-school detective with stories to tell. Real crime in real time. The radio detective.
I'm Jerry Pearce, the radio detective. Welcome to the third hour of tonight's program. We're talking about gun control here. This is the night we talk about guns. We talk about everything having to do with your safety. And we talk about misconception, lies, and other things that are going on in this country and try to get you on the right track. And I'm the messenger. I'm an investigator by profession, have been for 35 years, both in law enforcement and in the private sector. And what I do is gather facts and present them to somebody. Tonight, that somebody is you. And we're simply saying tonight that one of the most successful ways of getting you to accept controls in your life is to first scare the hell out of you. And once you're sufficiently filled with fear, someone always comes along with a plan to ease those feelings of anxiety. That person, whether it's a he or she, assumes the personification of your rescuer. And they'll tell you, follow my plan, and my plan will set you free from your worry, your fear, and your torment. One of the words they use to do that, as the caller a moment ago brought up, is the word assault weapons. Now let me tell you, first assault weapon was really the MP-44 invented by the Germans during World War II. It was a small caliber machine gun, which means it was capable of fully automatic fire. Now according to the U.S. Army, an assault weapon, underline assault weapon, is any small caliber machine gun capable of fully automatic fire, period. This means that just by holding the trigger down, it will fire anywhere between 400 to 1,200 rounds a minute. None of the guns listed, underline none of the guns listed in the so-called assault weapon ban, are capable of doing that. None of them are assault weapons. What they are simply semi-automatic rifles which look like military weapons. Because of their different internal mechanisms, they cannot, underline cannot, be fired as fast as fully automatic weapons. Let me draw you an analogy. If you take a Ferrari race car capable of 200 miles an hour and you change the engine to a Hyundai capable of 65 miles an hour, you could still honestly call it a race car just because it looked the same on the outside. Well, in regard to semi-automatic rifles, that's exactly what the mainstream media has done. The mainstream media is so infatuated with the term assault, and Clinton's so infatuated with the term assault, that it's even used to describe semi-automatic pistols. Last year, the LA Times even described a robbery weapon as an assault knife. No kidding. Now, why is this important? People who define the terms of any debate will win that debate. If you succeed in labeling a rifle an assault weapon, you will have more support for banning it than if you call it a semi-automatic rifle. And that's a fact, folks. After the federal so-called assault weapon ban, the senator in this state, Barbara Boxer, coined the term junk gun to describe any affordably priced handgun. Again, the mainstream media jumped on it. They loved it. The word junk gun. You see, if you succeed in calling a certain type of gun by an evil-sounding name, then it will be easy to mold public support for banning that type of gun. You know, eventually all bolt-action rifles with scopes will be labeled sniper rifles. I mean, I can see it coming. They're going to be labeled sniper rifles. Snub-nosed revolvers will be called belly guns. Long-barreled revolvers will be called gangster guns or dirty, hairy guns. Pump shotguns will be called riot guns. Lever-action rifles and single-action revolvers will be called gunslinger guns. Semi-auto pistols will be called assault pistols. Now, if we let this anti-gun media define the debate, they'll win it. Don't you ever use those terms. Don't fall into that trap. Don't find yourself buying that garbage they're putting out. There's no such thing as an assault weapon that's involved in all this crap they're trying to feed you. The Army has assault weapons. The criminals have assault weapons. And you know how they get them? Clinton's buddies, Southeast Asian shipping companies, brought 2,000 AK-47s into San Francisco up there. That's how they get them. It's Clinton's buddies that are smuggling them in here. The gangsters have them, the criminals have them, because they smuggle them in, or they steal them out of armories. Don't you buy this BS. Let's go to Larry in Visalia. Thanks for holding on, Larry. Welcome to the show, sir.
How you doing, Jerry?
Doing good.
Great. Hey, listen, I've never owned a gun. I've got a shotgun in the house, and I haven't even fired it. And but as I get older, I see the use that I might need to use it one of these days to protect my family and my house.
Right.
And I watched some program on public broadcast system, and they had, I guess they were the leftists, and they were going after these men that thought that their kids didn't know where the gun was, and they questioned the kid, and the father swore up and down, he'll never know where it is, and the kid knew where it was. And that kind of scared me, but I wonder if it was a scare tactic. I was wondering if you could sort of talk on, is it really an issue that, I know it is an issue, but how do you keep the kids safe from the guns? I mean, that was the thing that really scared me, and probably the main thing right now that's holding me back from going out and get one. So I'll get off the phone and I'll listen to you.
Okay, well, you don't have to get off, Larry, but whatever. Hey, look, it's common sense in the home, all right? I have guns in my home, but I don't have little kids around normally. If we have little kids come over to visit, the grandkids or something come over to visit, or youngsters in the house, I know where they are in the house. I know what's going on. I know where my guns are. I know if they're in reach of the people that are in the house. You know, if you have children in the house all the time with you, you buy a safe, gun safe, or someplace you lock your guns up when your children are there. But at nighttime, when the kids are sound asleep in their bedrooms, you put that gun under your mattress or your pillow or next to you in your dresser drawer. You're not going to have time to get out of your bed during the night, trust me on this, and go over and open up some gun safe or take a trigger lock off in order to use it. You keep that gun right nearby. But with the children running around the house, you lock it up. Get it out of there. Don't let them forget trigger locks. Forget that. That's stupid. You get yourself a gun cabinet that locks up where the kids can't get into it, and they've got all kinds of models out there. Don't let them lie to you. There's people out there that have the greatest gun. If you're in doubt, you call John McCormick down there, and he'll direct you to the right place to get a safe way to take care of that gun around kids in the home. But it comes back to common sense. It comes back to using your head. It comes back to watching your children. And here's what goes on, folks. It's not out here in this area we're worried about that stuff. The inner cities, we're catching heat for what goes on in the inner cities. And if you got a bunch of parents in the inner cities that are crack addicts and dope fiends and robbers and murderers themselves, they don't care whether their kid gets a hold of the gun or not. That's the attitude problem. So you quit sweating it for them. I mean, you don't have to answer for those mistakes. That's on them. That's not on you. Clinton doesn't tell you that, though. He doesn't want to blame. He panders to those inner city people. But you know, when you talk about these inexpensive guns, that may be all those inner city people can get to defend themselves. They live in the middle of all those criminals. How would you like to live in the middle of the Bronx that Lenny describes, or down in South Central L.A., or Chicago, or these other towns where all that stuff's going on? How would you like to live there as a family and be without a weapon? I mean, they've got to just be in terror. Take a look at some of the coverage when the television cameras are in there. You see the bars on the windows and the way people live there? You think those bars are on their windows for drill? They're scared to death of their own people. So, common sense is the key here. And all of us are adults. We don't need moms and dads. We got moms and dads. We don't need them in the legislature. We don't need that. We need leaders. We'll do the right thing if they do the right thing by us. And most average people out here know what's right and what's wrong. And there are a few jerks out here that don't care enough about their children to take that into consideration. That's on them. But there's very few of these children shootings in this country. I read that stat in the first hour of the show. Very few. 1 in 100,000 in the white community, and 1 in 50,000 in the inner cities, in the minority communities. So that's nothing. 1/50th of 1,000. I mean, it's nothing. But to listen to the media and to listen to Clinton and all this, you'd think they were killing kids every day by bushels. It's BS. That's what it is. It's lies. And the ones that are doing it's like that 6-year-old. That was a bunch of crack addicts and crap that had those stolen guns in there to shoot cops with. That's not you and that's not me. Why should we have to put up with more legislation because of a bunch of criminals? We ought to stick the guns, the money into more cops down there to send in there and kick their butt. That's what we need to do. Anyway, I'm sorry I got carried away. Jason, just settle down back there. Jason's hiding and starting to cry here.
No, I have something for you.
Oh, here we go.
Breaking news.
Here we go. Cronkite again. Go ahead, Jason.
One of your favorite people, Al Gore.
Oh, no.
He's starting to look for a running mate.
Oh, great.
Guess who's on his list? You'll never guess.
Some chimpanzee out of a zoo.
Well, that would be preferable.
Mm-hmm.
Or Governor Gray Davis.
Well, I knew that. You know, I heard that.
Did you?
I had an informant tell me that Davis was going to be the running mate.
He's on the list.
I think he's going to be selected. I think that's what Gore has in mind.
So who would be governor? Bustamante? Or,
Yeah, Bustamante moves into that spot until we can get rid of him. Anyway, Jesus, we got to get Mike Briggs up there and get him ready. I mean, this is our chance. Oh, that's just great. Well, I'd rather have him back there than here. So that's always a plus. And let's go to line 2 to Ed in Visalia, California on the cell phone. I'm sorry to have you hold there, Ed. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks a lot. I'm enjoying your show. Listen to it every chance I can.
Thank you, sir.
Well, I was light infantry. I was with the 7th Division out of Fort Ord, and it's a shame that they closed that post.
Oh, yeah.
I know I kept in touch with one of my old first sergeants, and because of Bill Clinton, he retired early. And he came back from Europe and went back to Fort Bragg. But the reason I call, I also worked at Diablo Canyon Nuclear Power Plant. And one of our trainers out there requested to get a sniper rifle, and administration denied it. He later did the paperwork again and requested a anti-sniper rifle, and it got approved. And I just thought I'd throw that in there.
These terms get you, don't they, Ed?
Oh, yes, sir.
I'm telling you. I mean, you soldiers, you need to... I need to get more of my military guys that listen to this show to come on here and tell people, especially the guys that were in NOM, you know, and tell them what real assault weapons are all about. I don't think the average public gets it. I tried to explain it a moment ago, but, I mean, I need some soldiers, some men that or ladies that have actually used those things in combat to tell the average listener to this show what the real difference is. I mean, they don't get it. They don't understand that a semi-automatic gun is not what our military men were using over there in the way of a full-blown assault gun, you know. I mean, machine guns are a completely different deal, and it's all mechanics. And some of the ladies, some of our flowers in the audience, they're not into mechanical things that much anyway, and God bless them for that. But they need to know when these words are used, these horrible words like assault, that it has nothing to do with the kind of guns they're trying to ban here.
Right.
You know.
Well, one example of a real automatic or assault rifle would be either an M60 machine gun or a SAW, which is a squad automatic weapon.
Right.
Which can really throw a lot of rounds out there.
Well, you can tear a house off its foundation.
Oh, yeah.
My
specialty was calling in our artillery or Cobra gunships or naval gunfire, stuff like that. And you want to talk about another way of hunting, you can do a lot of damage with artillery.
Yeah, you know what an assault weapon is that one mounted on an F-18A Hornet. When it comes in there and the guy cuts loose on one of those, that's an assault weapon.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Ed, I got to take a break, my friend. I appreciate the call from Visalia, though, and bringing up that point. Ed's right on, and this assault stuff. When they start throwing the word assault around, I mean, we need some policemen or we need some soldiers to come on here and set the record straight. I'm not an expert on assault weapons. I fired machine guns. I fired with the Marines back in the 50s when I was in the Navy, and hell, I go back to the days we used Thompson submachine guns and Rising submachine guns. But, I mean, I'm not an expert on this new stuff at all. And John McCormick is, and guys like that, and fellas out at the range are. But I know soldiers are because their life depended on that stuff. And get some guys on here that want to call in and set the record straight on what a real assault weapon is. We're going to take a quick break here. We'll be back to the phone calls, and we're talking tonight about your rights, your right to be free from controls that the government wants to put on your back. Thanks to guys like Mike Briggs, we're going to be able to do something about that. I'm Jerry Pearce, the radio detective. Don't go away.
He knows where the bodies are buried. We can't comment any further. Jerry Pearce, the radio detective.
Welcome back to the show. We're talking about gun control here tonight. There's no other way to put it. We're talking about the lies you're being told by your own administration in this country, and also the administration of this state of California with 34 million good people in it. We're going to go back to the call board, and I want to tell you this before we do. The moral failure of gun control is this. This is a moral failure. The ideology is a belief system which ignores any objective and empirical evidence which tends to disprove that belief system. When you ignore it, that's a moral failure. These gun prohibitionists firmly believe that banning guns will reduce crime. You know, they've been conned into that belief by some very artful and designing people. Yet these supporters of gun control simply ignore the fact that every jurisdiction, city, state, or federal, which has passed strict anti-gun laws has suffered significant increases in crime and homicide soon after passing such laws. This evidence comes from the FBI uniform crime reports. The gun prohibitionists also ignore the fact that the jurisdictions which have liberalized their gun laws, in other words, making it easier for honest law-abiding citizens to get and carry guns, have enjoyed a significant reduction, underline that, reduction in crime as a result. And clearly then, the gun prohibitionists cling to their beliefs only as a matter of faith, apparently. You know, they continue to believe that banning honest people from owning guns will somehow affect criminals, despite all the evidence to the contrary. Politicians should never pass laws which are based upon such blind faith. That's how crazy this business is and all these laws they're talking about. And we need to hold the Republican Congress their toes to the fire on this, folks. They need to stand up once and for all. They didn't stand up for us during that Clinton debacle back there. They better stand up on this issue, and we need to go to work in this state and throw out every liberal Democrat up there in Sacramento that wants to take our guns away from us. That should be the campaign for the year 2000. Start putting your money aside to give it to the people in this legislature that are out there to protect our rights. I'm not talking about some nickel-dime deal either. We need to get organized in this state, and we need to throw them liberal Democrats out. Completely out. Send them back to where the hell they came from. They're not real Americans up there. They claim to be, but that's a disguise. I know what real Americans are, and none of them people are real Americans. Real Americans love guns. We've always loved guns. Guns are part of our heritage and our culture. Guns are used by our forefathers to gather food, to protect themselves. And nothing changes today. In fact, there's more predators today you got to worry about than there were when our forefathers carried guns around with them. It's crazy if you give up your guns. You're committing a form of suicide if you give up your guns. I can't think of stronger language to use maybe right now, but I'm telling you, you're crazy if you let these liberal Democrats do that to you. Let's go to Emily in Visalia. Emily, thanks a lot for holding on. I'm sorry it took so long.
Well, I'm very patient, and I always enjoy everyone you've had on here every night. I've been on every night.
Thank you, Emily.
Tonight, someone was talking about, well, you gave some information about writing to their senators and so on and so forth.
Right.
I have an 800 number here.
All right.
They can get the congressional directory.
Okay.
It's 800-966-1935. Now, they can call that, but the address is on here, but they could call that number and ask for the book.
Okay.
I don't think they are charging for that.
Okay. Let me repeat it one more time. Now, it's 1-800-966-1935.
You got it.
Okay, Emily, I got it here. Go ahead, hon.
Okay. Now, you hit on this. This is something that I was going to hope that the moms were out matching or walking and on this. They should be out there protesting about drugs and all the imported guns and ammunition that comes in here.
Right.
Too bad that they're not doing that. I wish someone could get the message to them. And also, I think John McCain's going to be a good help out there where he is.
Well, McCain was my guy, but I mean, he's took a hit there from some people, and I mean, there's not much I can do about it now. But whatever, I don't care who we run. We got to get this group in there and out.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
right.
I could run my dog Lil. I'd vote for her. I mean, we got to get them out of there.
Yeah.
My horse Reno would make more sense being president. And by the way, I just want to say to you, Emily, Clinton and Gore are living proof that anybody on the face of the planet can be president of this country.
Right.
I used to think it took special talent and a high degree of credibility and ethics and morals and some great insight to the ways of. Trust me, I've learned a lesson.
Well, so have we. And
Anybody.
the rest of us better get busy.
Well, you're absolutely right, Emily. Listen, I thank you for the call, love.
Thank you very much.
You bet. Thanks, Emily, for checking in from Visalia. Let's go to Pete in Lemoore, California. Pete, thanks for holding. Sorry it took so long, Pete.
That's okay, Jerry. How you doing? I heard you call for some military people to call in, so
Yeah.
I did.
What I was asking about, Pete, is all these ladies in our society, the million moms that are going to be marching around, have been fed this line of crap about the word assault weapons.
Uh-huh.
And military men and police officers, but military men especially, they know what assault weapons are, and I need somebody other than my voice to set them straight that what they're trying to ban here in this business in California and throughout this country aren't truly assault weapons used by the military.
Well, Jerry, you don't have to convince me. I mean, the moms, they can march on, but let me jump in there and tell you a couple things. I've been listening to your commercial. I've been listening to your radio program, and because I did, I joined the NRA.
Thank you for that.
I even went out, and even though I'm not a California resident, I went out and gathered up some signatures for George Metcalf's Veto the Governor organization.
Perfect.
And listening to your program, and yeah, my rhetoric is not always so strong as yours, but I'm definitely on the good guys' side there, and even trying to contact 30 Caliber Club out there.
You bet.
And Jerry, I got a story to tell, but this is very important. Since the breakup of KFRE and all the internet connections and links that we used to have there with your show and everybody else's, I think the organization has suffered. And I know you like to use the telephone, you like to talk to people face to face, but you've got to get up the .coms and the email addresses so people can talk and get together and be on our side. And I know you work on the website, and
Well, we're still on the web. Pete, we're still on the web.
Well, there's no link to you, Jerry.
Yeah, well, I don't know, but it's on kmphfm.com.
Well, there's no email address for you, Jerry. I know,
Well,
because I went to it today.
I'll have to
We
talk
got to
to
fix
some.
that situation so the people on our side can get out and get together and do what's got to be done.
Well, let me just.
I mean, they're joining the NRA. They're getting the applications out. But there's a link there. There's a place where people used to meet, and they just can't do it like we did.
Yeah, I know. I see. I don't have any. I don't have any control over the mechanics behind this whole thing. But if you just
I'll bet there's
trust
somebody
me,
in your audience that volunteer for that, Jerry.
well, trust me, we're things may be changing along that line. We're working on some stuff right now, real hard, and I think you'd be happy with it if it comes to pass.
That's right, because us like-minded people got to stick together, and we got to talk, and the internet and email is the way to do it.
Well, let me just give you out this and for you, Pete. I've got 5 email sites, but the easiest one for you to remember is Detective Pearce, Pearce @excite.com.
Yes, sir, and I've used that.
Okay, and so
You and I have emailed, and you have answered
yeah, I know.
my
I
emails,
remember.
sir.
I'm
It's great. Here's I am in the Navy down here in Lemoore. I wanted to tell you about something we did last month. We had our annual Captain's Cup sporting competition, and one of the events was shooting.
Mm-hmm.
We had the 9mm pistol, we had shotgun, and we had the 200-yard rifle and 600-yard rifle events out at Colingo Rifle Range. And we had a great time. Jerry, we had over 100 sailors from the base here go out to the Colingo for the 200-yard event. They're all going for their ribbons and such.
Right.
Now, unfortunately, this is only a once-a-year thing, and the really rub about it that gets me is that the sailors all have to pay for their own bullets to go for their ribbons.
Mm-hmm.
$15 to shoot 45 rounds, but let me tell you, those M14s are sweet. They're
Yes,
one of
they
the
are.
finest shooting rifles. And guess what, Jerry? I don't think a lot of people would think of an M14 as an assault rifle, but it sure is.
Right.
They got that knob on them, you know.
Oh, I
You know
know.
that knob I'm talking about?
Yes, I know. I mean, it's this crazy business about if the thing protrudes a little bit, and they're going to have it. And I know what you mean.
Yeah, but the M14, you have to agree, is a fine shooting rifle.
Yes, it is.
And I decided I'd like to have one. But guess what? You buy an M14, you can only get 20-round magazines for it.
Yeah.
Doesn't that stink?
Yeah.
Well,
you go down to Arizona. There's a little gun shop down in Yuma we hung out in when I was doing that case along the border. They got guns down there, make your mouth water, but and they're not anything out of this world. But they've got guns down there that California won't allow, and I mean it's just crazy. The next door to us, you can have pretty much what you want in the way of guns, but in this state, because of the stupidity.
Well, I can't keep ahead of it. There was a fellow down here at the 600-yard event. We went out there at Coalinga. It was one. I tell you, Jerry, it was one of the most beautiful spring days out there in those rolling green hills and such. You get out there 600, and I was shooting open sights on the M14.
Right.
I was hitting paper.
Right.
But I got to tell you, there was a fellow out there with a 50 caliber sniper rifle. I swear to God, those shells must cost him about $8 a piece.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's like shooting a 50 A&E. It's fine to own one of them, but you go broke owning it.
Well, this was 50 caliber BMG.
Yeah.
Of course, you have to take the whole bolt out there to load it and stuff.
Right.
That thing will shoot 5 miles.
Yeah, I know it. All right. Well, listen, I got to run, Pete.
That's great.
I appreciate your call and bringing us up to speed on that stuff, and good shooting to you, my friend. That's Pete checking in from Lemoore. We're going to go over to Craig in Selma, California. Craig, thanks for coming on board.
Hi, Jerry. How you doing?
Good, sir. How are you?
All right. I have a definition for assault weapon.
Yes, sir.
In my opinion, that's anything used to assault a person.
Well, okay.
And I'm one that has a couple of rifles that they call assault weapons.
Right.
And I was never interested in those kind of weapons at all until they started banning them. A friend of mine had one, and I shot it.
Right.
And I fell in love because those guns, they shoot great.
Right.
And I deer hunted with mine until SB-23 went through.
Right.
But man, it's just a great gun to take out in the field and carry around and.
What they're doing, what they're doing, Craig, is they're simply using that word to scare people. I mean, they have these. You see what's on television for these young idiots that get these ideas. I'm going to go to Columbine with you for a second here. Those guys had a film they watched over and over again that depicted people walking in raincoats to a classroom, spraying the classroom with bullets. They watched that movie over and over again, and guess what? They acted that out, didn't they? And that's what people see. They see this stuff. You can go turn on the tube tonight. I doubt you can't find, I bet you can find 10 movies tonight between now and midnight that show all this spraying of automatic gunfire, killing no telling how many people, bodies flying left and right. It's on television every night of the week, every night. And fully automatic firing weapons. None of the stuff that we're talking about in this state that we want to protect from regulation is anything close to that stuff. Yet they use the term assault. The mind automatically goes to the tube because they've been indoctrinated by that. And then all of a sudden they say, gee, yeah, we got to ban that kind of stuff. And that's what the politicians do. They twist it just a little bit, like McCain said. They take the truth and they twist it just a little bit to get you off base.
Pure communism.
Craig, thanks, bud.
All right.
Appreciate the call from Selma. We're going to take a short break. Be back with Ken up in the mountains there. Don't go away. I'm Jerry Pearce, the radio detective. We're talking about guns, talking about the rights you have that are being taken away from you.
If you think the room is bugged, grab the cordless and step outside. Talk to Jerry Pearce, the radio detective.
I'm Jerry Pearce, the radio detective. We're talking about gun control tonight. Famous subject around the country. This is a talk show. And if you're listening out there to this voice and you think you'd like to talk to a issue here on the show or be on a talk show and haven't done it before and not quite sure about doing it, this is the easiest one you're ever going to deal with. We'll walk you through this. I mean, this is the easiest show out there to do it with. You won't catch me throwing you off the air, making fun of you, doing all the crap that them other guys do to people.
Except if Pete from Kingsburg
calls.
You
shut up. If Pete calls, between Jason and Pete, I've had it. Pete hasn't called in a long time. Where is Pete? We haven't shot him for a year. Well, no, been several months. So, but Pete's the only one, folks, that, and we love Shoot Pete. But we're not going to treat you badly if you want to call the show. This is a training ground for all minds and especially new callers. So having said that, though, we're going to go to an old-timer, Ken, up in Coarse Gold, California. Ken, welcome to the show, sir.
Howdy, Jerry.
How you doing?
I just wanted to explain briefly the history of weapons and where that word comes from.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you have a pistol, which is a semi-automatic pistol.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have a machine pistol, which is selective fire, and it doesn't have a handle. Right. You have a machine gun that does have a handle or a shoulder stock,
mm-hmm.
and that's a machine gun.
Mm-hmm.
And those are like the MP5 or the old grease gun or a Thompson.
Right.
There's a battle rifle like the M14 or the M1, and those have a full-blown rifle cartridge, 7mm, 8mm. There's some old ones from World War II. An assault rifle is an intermediate cartridge like the 223 or the AK-47 round, and so that is what is called an assault rifle, and that came from I believe it's called a Stromgauer from World War II. The Germans, right at the end of the war, had an intermediate cartridge. It was an 8mm, and it was shortened, and the action works better. And there's really, from my knowledge, there's no nomenclature of an assault weapon that comes from the term assault rifle, which is an intermediate cartridge like the M16.
Right, and you're absolutely right, Ken. And what they do is they twist that a little bit to use the impact of the word assault. And as you pointed out, they're by the way, they don't apply. I mean, there's been a law against automatic weapons, fully automatic weapons, for a long time in this country.
1934.
Yeah, I mean, it's been here forever. So all they do now is try and use the words to make it appear that we're all wanting to carry around these automatic guns out here that, can 400 rounds to 1,200 rounds a minute, and they don't tell the truth. They don't. I mean, I pointed it out earlier. They pick up on these terms and they throw them for all they're worth out there, and only experts like yourself know the difference. The average mom, we're talking about moms tonight. They're going to march on Washington and all that. The average mom that maybe. I say average. Some ladies out there are expert with the guns. They know all about them. But the average mom at home doesn't know she's being lied to. And thanks to folks like you to set the record straight. But we need to do more of that, in my opinion. We need to do more of setting the record straight. Not for me doing it. I mean, I've got one voice, but when it comes from folks like you that live in the community and really lay it out there like you have, and what the truth is, it makes a lot more of an impact. Than if I say it or somebody that's speaking on behalf of some group but tonight I'm just myself. I mean, I'm just telling you, I appreciate you bringing that stuff up.
Okay, and just one more thing.
You bet.
Gun control is being able to hit your target.
Yeah, that's right, my friend.
The bumper sticker I saw.
I appreciate that, Ken. Well, listen, thanks for the call, bud.
Oh, you're welcome.
That's Ken from Course Gold checking in. He described to you about machine pistols and what goes along with the background of assault rifles and how they've kind of twisted that down. The media, the mainstream media in this country go about telling people just can't be trusted with deadly instruments. That's what but you can possess one every day if you drive your car. And I talked about that earlier. Yet, while you're driving your car, you don't go around running over pedestrians through crosswalks unless you're a psychopath. Common sense tells you not to hurt your fellow man. And that's what it's about in this life. And that's true of guns. I've had a gun around me I'm sick of guns. My son, I bought him a new .357. He loves it. I mean, he's out there. He went out to the range the other day and got with the guys there and got qualified for his permit. And he put them all right in the center of that thing. I mean, at 25 yards, he surprised himself. I said it was the gun, nothing to do with you, Lance. But he did a great job. But back in the days when I carried that mother every day, off duty and on duty, pretty soon it becomes like, you got something hanging on you can't get rid of. It's just there. But I never thought about, am I going to take my gun out and go around blowing people up just for that? Those are psychopaths that think that way. And that's what we're not addressing in this country, are the criminals. I mean, go down to Corcoran. It's too bad they don't give public tours of that place. You'll see guys down there you want to keep guns away from. They'd kill you with a toothpick in that place. Believe me, Jason and I and Lance saw that. They can make a deadly instrument out of nothing. A bar of soap. A toothbrush. So if somebody's out there going to kill you, they don't need a gun. They'll just do it. Now, luckily, thanks to Mike Reynolds and all the supporters there, we got 3 strikes. And we're keeping them in the joint longer. And more of our citizens are alive out here because of that. But it's the psychopaths in this country that are the problem. It isn't some inanimate object like a gun or an automobile or anything of that nature. It's like seat belts. Sometimes cause deaths, but more often they save lives. Just use some of these analogies when you think this stuff through. Don't be sold some bill of goods out there. Let's go back to the board. Let's go to Terry over in beautiful Santa Cruz, California. Terry, welcome to the show.
It has been kind of nice over here now that you mentioned it, Jerry.
You betcha. That's a
I
pretty
got
place.
some quickies for you.
Yes, sir.
In 1995, Al Gore's campaign manager jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge. This is an absolute fact.
Really?
Yeah, you ever heard of Dwayne Garrett?
I have heard
Read a
that.
background on him. He jumped off the bridge because he had some problems with sports memorabilia and the FBI.
Mm-hmm.
So let's ban the bridge. The commuters can use the Sausalito ferry that comes off over by the brand new stadium. Now that's number one. Number
Right.
two, with the Million Women March,
Yes.
they had hired a gal from Colorado to run the thing.
Oh, yes.
They fired her butt, according to Michael Reagan, because she actually wanted to give out trigger locks at the mall in Washington, D.C.
Right.
Now, that's the second one. Now, third, you're talking about that German assault rifle?
Mm-hmm.
Only 200 of them were ever made.
Right.
I don't know why. I thought Hitler thought they were ugly. Basically, he had the mentality of Dan Fenton. He says, ugly guns don't look too good for my soldiers. Right now, you can buy a Mauser for about $50.
That's right.
Yeah, you seen those? Like at that big fire stores? Actual WW2 vintage German Mausers right off Sergeant Schultz.
Right.
A German, it'll better cost you more than that now.
Yeah, I know it. I know it.
That's the funny thing. I got an original Luger sitting over here.
I used to have one.
Oh, you got rid of it, you fool!
No, I got stolen from me.
They're quite a bucks. Big bucks these days.
No, I bet. I bet they probably got big bucks for it too.
Yeah. I'm not trying to get rid of mine though. I don't want to.
Yeah. No, I don't blame
I
you.
put it away. It's like one of those things, like owning gold coins. You know what I mean? Like St. Gauden's dollars and stuff.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Pass it on. Pass it on to the family.
Yeah, but I thought you'd get a kick out of some of this stuff.
I did. I loved it, and I appreciate it, Terry. I mean,
Hey,
you
I
made
don't
my
really
night.
want to tie up the phone. I want to leave your audience laughing a little bit too.
Okay,
But
Terry.
it's all true.
Appreciate it, my friend. That's Terry in Santa Cruz, California, checking in. Let's go to Skip in my hometown of Bakersfield, California. Skip, welcome to the show.
How you doing? Actually, I'm not in Bakersfield. I'm traveling there right now. I drive a truck. I'm hauling cars.
Okay.
And I'm from Arizona, and I heard you say something about Arizona there, and I really like your show. I catch it whenever I come through.
Well, I appreciate it, Skip. Thank you.
And I just wanted to let you know that all us gun owners are out here backing. We appreciate what you're doing, and we just need to keep up the good work and join the NRA and keep everything going, right? Like I say, they take them away, and we got nothing. And when they come to my house, they're going to have another Ruby Ridge, you know?
Absolutely.
I'm just not going to let them have my guns.
Well, it's getting more and more tight around the community, Skip, and I understand it is, but hopefully we're never going to reach that point if we get some decent people up in Sacramento and in Washington, D.C. that's going to get off this un-American kick they're on.
Yeah, we got to get the communist draft dodger out of office, right?
You got that right. Absolutely. I'll go with that. I mean, you know how I feel about that. That guy belongs in handcuffs. He doesn't belong getting in and out of limousines.
That's right. Well, you know what I got under my pillow, right?
I know what you got, Skip.
Model 2944 mag, right?
That's right.
Because when they come in the house, I'm not letting them go back out.
Yeah, I got a 12-gauge shotgun to saw it off in a little bit.
I got one of those in the corner, right?
Double-aught buck, okay?
Yeah.
Anyway,
well, I appreciate it.
Hey,
I'll be listening to you every time I come through.
Well, I appreciate it, Skip, and you drive safely out there, will you? And you appreciate it, Skip, and you four-wheelers out there, you give them big rigs a little room to move around. Remember, they're hauling them 80,000 pounds or something, and they can't move as fast as you can. So when you pull on those ramps coming onto the highways there on the interstate, remember that big truck just can't move over like some light vehicle can, and give them a break. I've been in the cab of those with some of these drivers, and they do a remarkable job of saving your life. Because if they run into you, guess who loses? It ain't going to be the big rig. So give them a little room out there. You had something, Jason?
Nope.
Okay, I thought you were going to give another Cronkite deal or something.
First time tonight.
Yeah, that's good. I appreciate it. One of the other things I want to mention, I know we're near the top of the hour here, and we got a few things going, but there's no social benefit, they say, to this assault rifle. What about baseball? Think about baseball. Baseball bats are used far more often to kill than our semi-automatic rifles. Did you know that? We got to ban baseball bats? Larry Nichols got beat up with a baseball bat the other day over there in Conway, Arkansas. How about expensive jewelry, diamonds around your necks? It was serving a useful purpose. They just make robbery and burglary more profitable, right? So let's ban jewelry. How about alcohol? Alcohol literally kills hundreds of thousands of Americans each year. Serves no useful purpose for society, they say. You know, what about that? At least you could chase a burglar out of your home with an assault rifle, if there was such a thing. But what good will a can of beer do? So you're going to ban alcohol? It's craziness, folks. Trust me. This whole thing's nuts. And I'm going to hammer on this as long as I've got a voice to do so until we get this country back on track. Let's go real quick to Mike in Fresno on a cell phone. Mike, welcome to the show, sir.
How you doing, sir?
Good.
Great. I am a law enforcement officer with the largest city in Central California, if you get my drift.
I got it.
And I have one thing to say.
Yes, sir.
A government that can't trust the people with guns can't be trusted.
That's a good thing, Mike, and I appreciate you bringing that up, especially being who you are.
Thank you, sir, and keep up the good work.
I appreciate it. That's Mike checking in. He's a policeman, and he's absolutely correct. And I love policemen when tell it like it is. But I understand when they don't. I understand that when police officers have a hard time, you know, bringing up what they really think, there's a whole system of policies nowadays out there in police work that we didn't have to worry about. Sheriff Ed Bates and I were talking about that today at lunch. And we just didn't have to put up with this foolishness. We were able to speak our mind on issues and be who we are. But policemen, the men and women in police work today, they've got to deal with a lot of pressure from strange policies, political correctness, and all that crap. You take an experienced copper off the street, and he'll tell you how things really are if you get him off for a cup of coffee somewhere. If you got a friend in the neighborhood that's a copper, get to know him. You get to know those guys and gals. They'll tell you. I mean, there's, you know, you hear about this corruption in police work. That's a small, little, minute part of police work. There's 700,000 coppers out there. And we don't blame all those people for it. But so get them off to the one side. And if they're, you know, they're a little tight sometimes, but, you know, have a beer with them on the weekend or have a cup of coffee and, you know, let them share with you what's really going on in the street. They'll tell you the truth. They'll tell you the truth about guns. I just want to say this. We're not going to take any more calls tonight, but I'm going to tell you that, you know, you are special. There's no one else like you on this planet. You're an original. You're not a copy. You're not a facsimile. You're not an imitation. You are literally a one and only. You want proof of that? Simply take some ink, roll your finger in it, stick that finger on a piece of paper, and you've got an original painting. Go ahead and frame it. Don't let them make you into a rat in a box. Till tomorrow night, you lay off that whiskey, let that cocaine be, and may the good Lord take a liking to you.
The Radio Detective, brought to you by the California Correctional Peace Officers Association. They walk the toughest beat in the state.